Fantastic. All right. So, anyone who was here last week, can we get a quick summary of what you remember of what happened?
We were in a dungeon. We were
Yeah.
going down, ever down, and
Yeah.
we fell into a digestive tract made of slime.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
not in there anymore.
We
And
spoke to a lady that was there.
oh yes, I forgot. Yes,
Yeah. So you fought your way down through the catacombs in the ancient graveyard, and you fought off various horrible alien life forms and such. And you navigated your way into the chamber of a, I think, unnamed lady. And
being called
what
by
happened?
Betty.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Betty. And what happened when you met her?
So she is essentially the source of the. Well, I don't know if she's the source exactly, but
Maybe
the
more like
whole-
the focus.
yeah, the guilt is sort of centered around her. That's keeping everyone in place.
she's the CPU, the guilt CPU.
Um, she let us know that Russell, the plant guy from above, is essentially an escaped dude from here. They are all like terrible criminals and have done, awful things to get them here.
Yes, indeed.
So,
And were you able to discern anything about what Russell might be up to?
we think he's calling in reinforcements basically to, do something terrible to the planet.
Indeed, that
he's using
seemed
that temple as some sort of transmitter, possibly.
certainly that is the picture that that Betty painted for you. And I believe just at
yeah.
the end, you kind of explained the situation and what was going on. And she essentially, well, it's not that she tasked you with stopping it, because she basically doesn't really care either way. But she did let you know that if he is doing what she thinks he's doing, then that would probably be bad for the people who are still alive and unburdened with sin as she is.
Okay, but at the same time,
Sorry, yeah.
it was sort of obvious to anyone looking at her that she's utterly evil.
Yeah.
Whether this means that she's trying to double cross us or do something, I don't know.
Well, you got that impression when she looked at you specifically. I think it's the impression I got at least wasn't that it was something that it's not like a character trait on her face kind of thing. It was just kind of an immediate kind of facial impression kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, you got the impression, she's been professing her own sins, and you certainly saw the weight, or maybe rather the capability for such sins deeply ingrained in her face and her eyes. And then, just at the end, she basically thrust you back up out of the kind of depths of the graveyard and back up to the surface.
Okay. So it's a matter of let's go stop Russell.
I
Have we
guess.
sort of, is that what we are decided upon?
Find Russell.
So what you saw when you got to the surface was, let's see on this page. So basically, actually, okay, so right up here is just on the north of the graveyard is where the Stationmobile is parked, and that was left with Station and I believe Vaporero kind of operating it, and that has the ability to do some kind of fire support if needed, or just come in and rescue or whatever. Lost
Thomas.
early.
No,
Back.
just
Oh, okay.
temporary.
Right.
Oh, so is it like you're not actually disconnecting, but just for whatever reason your icon disappears for us?
Yeah, I
Okay.
still haven't found the exact cause of internet outage, but
Weird. Okay, so hold on 1 second. So I'm going to give you. Actually, wait. Sorry, let me just sort out the layers of these icons and stuff. There we go. All right. So basically, so that's where the station mobile is, and I'm going to give you this kind of red snake eye icon for your party, even though we're sadly lacking crimson. And I'm going to say you basically re-emerged basically right in the center of the graveyard, more or less. And bear in mind, this is a very big place, so let's see if the, don't know if the ruler's going to be accurate here.
it's 8 kilometers or something.
No, that's right.
Let's say that's accurate. So yeah, you're in the, you're very much surrounded by this graveyard, which appears kind of more or less, just to remind you, as what the creature is standing in the kind of red creature picture over on the right. But you see more than that as well. So first of all, the kind of ground and the graveyard around you is even more kind of broken up and fractured by the kind of eruption that lifted you up onto the surface. Also, the kind of first thing you probably notice is when you look over in the direction of the temple out in the jungle off to the north, which is a long way away, it's kind of off on the horizon. You can see a large beam of red light that is basically, shooting up from the temple like a beacon. And it's kind of pulsating and flashing and flickering as it shoots up into the sky. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So I think the time is going to be, it's kind of, you've been down underground for most of the night. It is now coming up to morning. So the sky is kind of dark and lowering and overcast, but just around the horizon, there's a kind of band of lightening kind of orangey color. So yeah, and off in the horizon, you can see this beam flashing up into the sky.
Right, that's kind of. I hoped we were going to stop that from even getting up there. What sort of range can we expect out of the Station Mobile's guns?
That's a good question. Let's see. I mean, even like a battleship. Actually, no, because if it's like a big battleship, they have freaking ridiculous range, like 100 kilometers or something. It's not going to be that big, but yeah, let's say
just head on our way home and take this thing out as we go.
Let's go ahead and say that the Station Mobile has one large cannon up on the top, kind of conning tower thing, and let's say that has plenty of range, like I don't know, whatever. Like it can hit the temple basically. It has like say 50 kilometers range.
Okay. Well, first of all, we need to get back there and fast. I mean, back to the Station Mobile and drive the Station Mobile in that direction. Correct.
Hey, how do we feel about just being there and fighting them right now?
That could be even better.
Okay, I'm just gonna teleport us all there.
Oh, you can do that.
I can now!
Hey.
I can teleport myself, so
Oh yeah, you can teleport as well.
I
Does that
can
make
teleport.
does that make this cheaper?
let me
No.
see.
Who's got the most edge? I've got 6 edge.
Yeah,
See, I
me
think
too.
I only have like 3.
Do you have more
You
int?
have more
I have
ints.
20 int at the moment.
Oh, sorry. I could take an action rest and then teleport us.
Yeah, let's say. Let's see. Certainly, you'll have time to take like.
I think
Well,
I don't know if any of us have even used our one action recoveries yet. I don't think it matters too much.
okay,
I
yeah.
don't think I did.
I haven't.
No,
I've
I
used.
haven't either.
Yeah, I mean, I've used 5 stat points total, so I'm not desperate.
Yeah, let's say, I mean, I'll say if you need to, you can use up to your 1 hour rests, but we're not doing a total refresh.
Okay.
Just,
Well, have we established? Can we sort of talk to Stacey and anyone who's not here, with us?
Let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and say you have like little comm devices or whatever that were like basically kind of walkie-talkies that were stored in the Stationmobile. They weren't able to reach kind of underground, but now you're on the surface, you are able to yeah, kind of signal them or communicate with them.
Could be that we could get them to follow us and provide support from the machine.
could just create a big arrow once we're there, so they can see go here.
Go here, do this, kill that.
Yes.
So, sorry, just to be clear, when you say teleport, can you just explain a little bit more? So, would you be able to teleport kind of everyone straight to the temple, or?
It's
And it's
it's
everywhere.
six int to teleport yourself, and you can spend effort to teleport more people. Each level of effort brings 3 more people with you.
Okay, so it's pretty expensive. Yeah, I mean, it's your ability. I'm not going to gainsay that. So
Off
yeah,
we
if you want to
go.
do that. Cool. So you're teleporting just like right inside the temple, or
Let's
like
just
nearby, or?
let's just say nearby.
All right, sure.
Yeah, so I guess that's Minim, Nye, Erasmus, and shall we have one extra mooch character so that we can use their abilities? Who's got useful abilities?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely Zion, because he can kill aliens real good.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
And
Okay.
I'm sure he's itching for
Although,
it.
having said that, Hoyon's kind of got the technical wizardry.
It's true.
I mean,
Which I think we need to shut down.
I'm going to say you can have everyone, like all of the characters, kind of in reserve, basically.
Sure. Okay, we can
Actually, I'll
decide
just
who
keep
we
the icons
brought
up here, I
later.
guess. Yeah. So like everyone who you don't immediately use is basically just kind of staying in the Stationmobile, I guess.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So actually, let's see.
Schrödinger's bench warmers.
No, actually, you know what? I think it will be a little bit more complicated than that because, so with you, you certainly have yourselves, so Nye and Minim. You've got Zion, and you've got Erasmus, and you have Varix, if I didn't already say him. And then Stason and Voporau are inside the Stationmobile. So if you're going to teleport you 3, that's going to leave Varix and Zion in the middle of the graveyard. Unless
boys.
yeah, but I'm just gonna say you're not allowed to leave them there
Okay.
for reasons.
Okay.
It's
So I'm just gonna
alone.
move them then. You can move 3 of us, and I can move the rest.
Okay, so do you have that same?
I also have a teleporter.
Okay, but is it the actual like it's the same as described?
It's the same skill, yeah.
It's the same skill, it's just not wormhole, but yeah.
Cool.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, wormhole's
fine.
like a different thing, but we both have teleportation.
Okay, so what you want to be doing is, let's say Erasmus, you want to teleport Zion and Varix to the Stationmobile, or are you teleporting them with you to the temple as well? I mean, yeah.
I just gotta take them to the temple, and I can stay outside and.
Okay. Yep, that works. And then, so I just want to kind of establish where everyone is, and then so All right, so that's cool. They're with you, and then Vopra and Station are still in the station mobile, and I guess you signal them to kind of start heading towards the temple as well.
Sounds good.
Is that all about right? All right.
Yeah, maybe with an option to fire in
Yeah.
things look like they're getting hairy.
You can have them
We should have a signal. If Erasmus casts a particular thing up in the sky, that's a signal for Stason and Kyoyan to blow the hell out of the ziggurat.
Yes.
Sounds plan-like.
What should be the giant, go get them illusion?
Big teddy bear.
I'm thinking like a giant swarm of white doves flowing out of a big head.
A swarm of doves.
Swarm. Like you see grasshoppers, like that.
Dove plague.
Cool. Okay, so let's see. So if you just kind of ping on the map roughly where you're teleporting yourselves to.
Well, I was thinking, well, I
Or
don't know,
just
I,
give
I
me
think
give me like a rough distance away from the temple that you want to be appearing.
the temple, is it like a single building surrounded at that point by what trees, or is it like out in the open?
So it looks like if you look in the pictures, it is so the surroundings
Whoa.
are kind of the top right one, and then the temple itself on the picture below it looks like the largest tower there on the right.
Okay. Well, in that case, there's like ruins and stuff, so I figure
Yeah.
we teleport somewhere in those.
Cool. And yeah, I'll just kind of press you for kind of roughly a distance from the temple. Like, are we talking like 100 meters, 500 meters, a kilometer?
Um, I would have thought that like 100 meters would have
Yeah, we might
been.
want to get in there as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we want to be within sprinting distance.
Cool. Okie doke. All right, so, and just describe as well, just for flavor, how your kind of teleportation kind of looks or works or feels to the people that you're suddenly teleporting.
I would say that it's from the outside, it doesn't really look like anything. You just stop being in one place and you start being in another place. But from the first person perspective, it kind of looks like like the world pinches between those two locations. So it's like that location sort of rushes up to you, and then everything behind you rushes away. But all in like an instant. It's like the world kind of pinches and then snaps, and then you're somewhere else.
And
Cool.
like,
Whereas
"Not again!"
the Erasmus method of teleportation is a lot more flashy.
Naturally.
Like
Yes.
curtains that appear around the
Wonderful.
teleport, and then they fall down and they're not there anymore.
Oh, amazing. I love it. All right, so you that happens to your respective groups of three people, and you appear in the shadow of a large, like, I guess looking at the picture, it's kind of like the big ruined building on the left. And yeah, it's rather dark because you're kind of, the sky is covered by the canopy of the trees. So it's rather difficult to see. But you can see, actually, having said that, it's hard to see where there's shadows, but this whole area is being lit up in the still rather dark depths of this dawn by the light coming from the tower. So the kind of panels on it, that's kind of glowing white in that picture, they are lit up brightly and sending out a bright kind of reddish light that kind of illuminates all the near sides of the buildings, but leaves everything else in stark relief. And from up close, you can also see this giant beam of red light that is shooting straight up into the sky. You can hear a great deal of noise coming from the temple. There's kind of a let's see, it's kind of a rumble, but there's kind of an almost machinery-like whine to it as well. And there's just a high-pitched keening that seems to accompany this beam going up into the sky. You don't see anyone immediately in the area surrounding you, but as you peek out towards the temple, you can see a great number of figures, these kind of aliens who were working on the place before, scurrying back and forth. For now, I'm not going to draw out a map, but if we get to the stage where we need one, I'll draw one out.
Okay. So, are we going straight for Russell?
Yes.
Right.
So how organized are the aliens? Are they working in teams or are they just scurrying around?
Let's see. Yeah, so when you saw them before in the temple and they were kind of working on doing whatever strange improvements they were doing, you noticed that they had a very kind of regimented way of working, almost kind of like ants. They just very much kind of focused on their tasks and seemed to be driven by whatever was kind of ordering them rather than their own individual wills. And it's kind of the same here. You can see them, like they'll run past and they're in kind of file and they're just kind of like run marching along, whatever the term is, double timing it all around the place and kind of carrying big heavy objects between them in a very coordinated manner.
We
And
did sort of learn last time that Russell has the ability to sort of command like native.
yeah,
didn't we?
the whole setup wasn't exactly clear to you, but like it wasn't clear if this is some kind of control that Russell is kind of exerting, or if this is a function that the aliens just like natural, that's their kind of natural order, and he just happens to be kind of filling that role for them. But certainly he did seem to be kind of the nexus of whatever control was going on. In other words, he is kind of directing them.
So how do you feel about disguising us and sneaking in?
What
Well-
do we do with Russell?
See, the thing is, Russell doesn't necessarily know that we're not on his side anymore. So we could come back to Russell and say something along the lines of, we know how to defeat the Guardian now, but we need to use the power of this place, or it's going to come in here right now and kill us all and disrupt what he's doing. Like that? Does that seem...
Could do. I mean, I was thinking more just kind of abduct him, but that works as a plan B.
Yeah.
Both are good.
So we
So
can try talking first, and then if he fails to listen to reason, then
yeah, if
well.
we can't sort of bluff
by
our way
reason I
through-
mean a lie.
yes.
Yeah.
So just as a reminder, you left before on not exactly hostile terms, but somewhat cold terms, as you were, while he was trying to beseech you to go back to the graveyard and deal with the Guardian, you were making all kind of observations and asking all kinds of questions about what he was doing, which he didn't take too kindly to. But nevertheless, he did, he was still essentially kind of friendly towards you. And he would basically be expecting you, your return wouldn't be unexpected as such.
Right.
Although, I mean, that was how things were when you left. Maybe things have changed.
There is that. So do we roll with that? Or do we just go in directly?
We show him the woman, and then we tell him that she's coming now, and that she will destroy him unless he...
Yeah, and then we see how he reacted then.
Yes.
just play it from that. That sounds like a good plan.
Okay.
Cool.
So let's just walk in there.
Cool. All right. So you, assuming that's what you're doing, you, step out from behind the temple and, from behind the ruin and approach the temple. Let's see. Actually, at first, the kind of packs and kind of work groups of aliens who are going past you just completely ignore you. They just carry on with their tasks as they kind of haul stuff past you and make various adjustments to the controls and stuff around them. As you kind of approach the temple itself, there are some kind of posted near the entrance who seem more like guards, and they do acknowledge you. They walk out towards you. Let's say it's a couple of the guys who, if you look at the picture next to Russell, they're the guys in the bottom right. So these big, like burly guard types. They can stump their way towards you and raise their hands and kind of talk in the alien language, which you haven't. Actually, let's see. Let's say that you have Zion with you. So let's say make a intellect roll. Difficulty 4, but he is, let's say, specialized because he's had time to kind of study this language and try and recall if it has, awakens any memories in him.
Okay.
So that was difficulty 4, specialized.
Yeah, 1 sec.
Are you rolling it? Oh.
Yeah, I'll roll it on his sheet.
Cool.
Difficulty 4 specialized.
Nice. All right. So basically, they're kind of acknowledging that they recognize you as the people who were there before, and they are saying, let's see, they say basically this area is off limits due to work program X394 blah blah blah. You must wait for operations to complete.
We'd love to, but this can't wait. We need to speak to Russell directly.
All right, so they turn to each other and say, actually, no, first they turn to you and say, "Who is Russell?"
Russell, flowery guy. Legs.
Oh, that guy. And so one turns to the other and basically, transmits a message or something that says,
"Goodbye, Thomas.
Request for meeting with." Let's see. Let's say they call him Overseer A, and let's see. They seem to receive some kind of transmission, although it's not exactly clear how. You don't see any obvious kind of radio or anything like that. But in any case, shortly they turn to look at you and say, acceptable priority has been given, please follow us. And they turn around and walk up these steps towards the temple. I assume that you follow them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so as you enter the temple, it is clearly much busier than before, and indeed it seems like the temple itself has been somewhat transformed. Not so much physically, although you can definitely notice that parts of it, kind of large kind of pillars and other structures, do seem to have kind of shifted and rearranged and kind of unfolded from the walls and things like that. But more strikingly than that, all of the engravings and things that you saw being made on the inner walls of the temples before, and kind of overwriting the more painted-on hieroglyphs that were there. All of these kind of carvings and engravings are now glowing brightly, and they're actually changing and shifting. If you glance at a part of the wall, you'll see, engraving will kind of be displaying something in particular, and then suddenly the surface of the wall will kind of crackle and send off a shower of sparks, and then the engravings will have actually changed positions and are now displaying something else. There's also kind of a whole crew of aliens who seem more of the kind of spindly, possibly more cerebral than muscular types, who are basically manning all kinds of, as it were, workstations and terminals, kind of areas of the markings that are clearly meant to interface with, and they are in furious coordination with each other, kind of operating the temple in some way. All of the actions that they take on these terminals and things kind of further change the markings that are surrounding them. There's all kinds of symbols and schemas that are kind of popping around from place to place, being kind of adapted by one and then kind of commented on by another and then reshaped by another, as they seem to be doing some kind of calculations. This is something that Zion in particular may have some insight into. So I guess do another roll, same as before for him.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So what he sees and determines is that so this temple itself was built a long time ago. It's not clear exactly by who, but probably another alien civilization as well, with the purpose of channeling and controlling the energy that both powers and comes from the repository, and B, serving as a kind of anti-beacon, as it were, that is supposed to make navigation to the space impossible, as we kind of touched on in a previous session. And it has now been used basically to power what you might think of as a computer that is manifested in the pillar of kind of red crystalline blocks that is now occupying the center of it, and they are kind of spinning around and rotating and counter-rotating, and casting light around the walls of the temple, which is kind of shining onto various displays, causing further new lines and information to display there. So clearly something very complicated, sophisticated and technical is going on. Zion, let's see. He's not able to determine the exact purpose of what they're doing, but clearly a powerful transmission is being sent at the moment. In terms, okay, so that's what you see as you're kind of being led through this temple. And amidst all of this, Russell is basically occupying a kind of a dais. I mean, what I'm thinking of basically is like the control center in Evangelion, and he's at the big Genji's or Gendo's big boss man desk at the top, where he kind of gloats over everything happening. So there's kind of an Aztec version of that, basically, and there's like a big, I guess you'd call it like a central control area that is up against one of the walls, and he is stood up there surrounded by various of his alien kind of advisors and things, and he is kind of furiously giving orders and taking reports and that kind of thing.
Anyone with a control area that looks like this can be up to no good, frankly. Right. How quickly do we want to try and stop this? I mean, is it worth trying to, mess with him? Or should we just, destroy the console?
Do we know he's being evil yet?
No, but I just, from what we see here, and based on what she said there, this definitely seems like he is doing what she said he would be doing.
Just as a reminder, kind of I think one of the first times that he talked to you, he you asked him about what he was doing here, and it's not entirely far from what you are seeing, in the sense that he he basically said that they arrived here in order to use this ancient technology, which he intimates in some ways to belong to him or his people, in order to get power, and kind of the way he described it was to conduct astrology, and but it's because it was being translated through the weird jellyfish staff of one of his priests. It was a bit clear to tell exactly what he was getting at. But yeah, he kind of intimated that he would be using it to do some kind of large operation involving space and some kind of signals or something. But but also just to remind you, underneath all the flowers and things, I think it was Zion who was able to discern, he does seem to be of the same species as were a lot of the prisoners who were buried in the repository.
Is this just like some sort of way to blend in, or a disguise essentially, and nothing that's naturally part of his form?
You weren't able to completely determine his nature, but yeah, certainly the kind of external flowery covering type deal doesn't seem to be naturally a part of him as such.
Okay, do we go with the bluff?
We confront him on something. Either we make him tell us what he's up to, or we just tell him freaking lie.
All right, so are you kind of marching up towards him?
Yeah.
If you do, I'm going to say, no one stops you, basically. So you're allowed to kind of walk up there. Russell doesn't immediately acknowledge you at first because he's just so caught up in what he's doing. And then he kind of seems to notice you, but he finishes up giving kind of a batch of orders and things like that. He seems very stressed out and busy. But eventually he does turn to you and he, let's see. So basically the flowers and stuff that are around him were very rustling and kind of agitated and seemed to be kind of almost flapping open and closed, almost like he was a big kind of signaling tower. But as he turns towards you, that kind of dies down and his flowers kind of leaves and things kind of flatten down a bit, almost as if he's taking on a more kind of presentable appearance. And he also, with a little exasperation, kind of looks around for one of his translator priest guys who is now, both of them are kind of off doing other things. He summons one of them over and in that way he is able to communicate with you and vice versa. So he says, I guess he basically just rather hurriedly says and testily says, yes, have you completed your task?
Minim, do you want to take it from here?
Well, he's not exactly a talker.
Okay.
But just be aware that no matter what you say, Minim's got your back.
You're full support. Erasmus, do you have sort of bluffy sort of skills? I mean, the reason I don't want to do it is that Nye is not so slick with the negotiation.
I got all of the bluffy skills.
This is absolutely Erasmus's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this would be his bag. So, all right. So, what kind of angle are you approaching him from, as it were? As in, yeah, what approach are you taking?
I think the approach is to make him a little bit panicky. So he either forgets, drops his facade, or tells us what's up.
Okay.
So let's see.
My angle of approach will be from the ceiling with swords.
So Erasmus is gonna take a deep breath and then quickly tell him everything that has happened in the Goose. That the lady, she got free and she's coming for us, and everything is gonna go tumbling down in a matter of seconds if he doesn't do something about it right now.
Nice. All right. So, pardon me. Go ahead and give me a intellect. Let's say. Let's see. I think it's not actually going to be that difficult because that roughly lines up with what he sent you out to do. Although he's clearly immediately irked by this kind of report of failure basically and bringing this trouble on him. Actually, yeah. So give me a intellect difficulty. Well, let's say 4.
And you're specialized. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, wait.
Nice. Cool. Okay, so yeah, so basically, you maybe kind of rush in rather haggard and panicked, and he basically, he buys it. He has no specific reason not to, and you put on a excellent performance of, of like panicked retelling of this. Because you mostly take it from the truth. It was a scary experience down in the catacombs, and you pad the story up with all kinds of details from that before slightly glossing over the actual meeting with the woman, such that it is quite plausible, and it's already quite clear that the power and the way it manifests as the Guardian there is rather unstable and aggressive. So certainly he buys your story that the Guardian from the graveyard is on the way to attack, and his reaction is basically, "Oh, well, this is terrible. What have you done? You're going to kill us all. You've seen the power that thing wields. Oh my God! And we were just on the brink of success with this experiment." And let's see.
Could we convince him that it's the experiment that's drawing the Guardian? Maybe.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I sort of the plan that I would sort of propose to him is that we draw the Guardian off in order to give him time to perform the experiment. This is all in massive air quotes.
Yeah. Okay. He seems rather flustered by all this. Whatever may or may not be going on with him, clearly he does fear the power that guards the repository. And when you present this plan to him and say that you're willing to basically divert it away, he says, yes, this that might just do it. That might just save us all. Well, if you're willing to, then Godspeed to you.
But you need to shut down the experiment right now until we get it far away, far enough away.
He resists and he's like, "What? No, that's impossible. This is what we've worked all this time for. You don't understand."
I appreciate it, but it's going to be here any second unless the experiment is drawing it to here.
All right, so let's see. So give me an intellect check as well, but I think. I'm thinking this is more going to be kind of like strength of, will and argument rather than figuring things out. Like you're basically just flapping your arms in his face and yelling at him. But to do it in a convincing way, give me a intellect roll, let's say difficulty 3. But I presume you're not going to be even trained in this.
No, I'm going to put 2 effort into it, in fact. Yeah, difficulty 3, untrained. Let's go. Cool. Right.
Nice. All right, so you successfully convey the urgency of, or rather the danger of running this, as it were, experiment. And he kind of stops short and he basically, let's see.
Oh, I think that didn't put all the effort into it. because it's because got no edge in intellect. That's like that costs 6, doesn't it?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
But I mean, that would just take the target number down anyway, so you'd still,
Yeah.
you're still definitely going to succeed.
I just don't want to. I want to pay for it correctly.
Yeah.
My brain is basically empty now.
Yeah. So, okay, so he is clearly convinced of the danger of this signal that he's sending out, and believes that it is going to directly cause the Guardian to come here and fuck shit up. However, he basically he kind of falters and he stops short, and he takes a step back from you, and he's kind of like he doesn't seem to really have arms, but he does the equivalent of kind of hunching over a desk, kind of somewhat leaning over it, basically. And in fact, you hear a light, leafy kind of bump as he whacks basically his head against the desk. And let's see. So he straightens up and he immediately starts rattling out orders to the kind of underlings around him, and several of them kind of scuttle away out of the control area, and they leap onto these kind of makeshift lifts, basically kind of rope lifts that are just strung up around the temple for the workers to get around, and they go zooming up towards the top of the temple. Some of them start tending to bits of the kind of crystal pillar in the middle, but others of them go to the outside, and they start basically, it seems like they are kind of scouting and looking out over the kind of region outside. They kind of scan it for a moment, but then they start shouting things with some urgency down towards the bottom. Let's say, give me, I think, another roll from Zion. Again, difficulty 4, but specialized, to understand what they are yelling about.
Oh, sorry, is this Zion?
Yeah, this is somebody on behalf of Zion.
Right. What was the difficulty again? Sorry, I completely forgot that. I had his
Difficulty
thing open.
4, but he is specialized.
Right.
Sorry, I'm just letting you take care of Zion stuff.
It keeps putting effort in. Whatever, it still would have met it.
Yeah.
Just burn through his stats.
But it's not subtracting it. It's
Are you remembering to click out of the box?
yeah, like several times. It's done this on all the previous rolls.
Weird. Okay, well, never mind, I guess. Anyway, he succeeds in interpreting that, and basically they seem to be shouting about a basically it almost sounds like they're describing a huge fire or some other kind of commotion that's happening over the repository. So you're not able to, you're inside the temple at the moment. You're not able to see outside unless you can think of any way to get some kind of a view outside.
Could we talk to Station and anyone in the mobile? They can tell us what's going on.
All right, you tune into Stacen's comlink channel, and there's a lot of static and like shouting and banging, and he's like, "Oh, it's all fucking kicking off over here." And the signal cuts out, but it occasionally cuts in. But all you can hear is him swearing.
That sounds totally standard for what he's up to.
So that is his report. And so that's what they're shouting down. And let's see. So basically what Russell does is he's just shouting out more orders, but what he seems to be doing is, he's shouting out orders to all of the crews and so forth who are kind of operating these places. They look up at him and kind of start shouting back and forth in confusion, but then they start twiddling away on their knobs and buttons. And what seems to... Let's see. Okay. Let's see. So they're doing something with the signal. I want someone to make a roll to figure out what that is. Let's see. I think probably it might actually be just Scion again. Um, yeah, the risk of repetition. Just make the same roll again. I think. Once again, difficulty 4.
It's still putting effort in. It's fine, it would have meant it anyway.
Strange. Maybe. I don't know. Wondering if he has some kind of skill or something that is like, gives him an automatic -1 effort. I don't know.
Has he been playing with macros?
No, don't know. Okay, so anyway, what he is able to discern and shouts out in his panicked alien sky voice is that, my God, they're increasing the signal, and basically they're boosting. He's boosting the output of this signal that's going forth, and in fact, so the whole temple, you can kind of feel it powering up around you, basically, and further reconfiguring itself, and you can tell that the light becomes brighter and brighter that is going out from this beam shooting upwards. And in fact, you've seen it kind of flashing and flickering before, and it suddenly starts to do that very intensely. And then it starts, so it was red, but now it seems like it's flashing between red and blue. And in fact, it almost seems like there's another beam that is being beamed down from wherever the beam is going to, if that makes sense. So there's two beams kind of overlaid over each other, and they're both kind of flashing back and forth as if to signal each other. And so rather than taking any, direct defensive action, and even less, rather than shutting this thing down, it seems Russell is basically doubling down on sending out this signal, and possibly seems to have received some kind of answer.
Okay.
It's time for.
I'm going to do something that I haven't put any thought into.
Okay.
I'd like to turn on all my buffs. I think I should put on protection from lasers because that's what aliens do.
Nice.
All the good ghost stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to teleport to the top of the ziggurat thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tower thing. I don't know why I keep thinking it's a ziggurat.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a cross between it's like an Aztec version of that tower in the lower picture.
Sure. So I'm teleporting up to the top, and I'm going to make a wormhole over the beam, and I'm going to point the beam at the sun. I don't know, something else. I'm going to point it at a nearby mountain.
All right, fair enough.
And then I'm
let's
going
see.
to teleport back inside like nothing happened.
I kind of wonder, maybe it's not really important as such, but so you're making a portal that's through the beam basically.
Yeah.
So I'm basically wondering, is that like a two-way portal?
Yeah,
the
it
beam
works.
is going into it from both sides.
It works like oh, is it two beams that? Well, okay, that's pointless then, isn't it?
Well, no, I
Or
mean, I
is
just
it?
mean, the beam is going up and down. It's going up
Oh,
into
yeah.
the sky, and you're putting the portal, across it. But it seems like there's one going down. Yeah, sorry, you're right. There is two beams. So it's going to
Are
be
they
hitting
both-
the portal from both sides.
Yes.
I'm just wondering what's going to happen in that case.
I don't know. I don't know what the back of a portal does.
Yeah.
Well.
Okay, let's see.
Presumably, you just end up on the other side of the other side.
Yeah, wherever you place the exit portal is going to have big lasers coming out of both sides, I guess.
Yeah.
How far away can you place the exit portal?
100 meters away. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna pop it in midair, and let's say I'm going to. Right. Okay. So we've got a beam coming up, and we've got a beam coming down, and I'm going to put a portal nearby.
Yep.
But it's going
Just gonna
to
have
send them
beams coming out of both
sideways.
sides of it. All right.
Yes.
Okay, so you're sending it both beams are going to be going in opposite directions, kind of out towards the horizon, basically.
Yeah, Minim's just being a gremlin at this point. Because he, like myself, doesn't know what's going on. So, yeah.
All right, so
So
So,
let's see what a new factor does.
if we are going with that, then I would like to activate a sci-fi I've been lobbing around since the first time, actually.
nice. Yep.
So in the
Holy
2
cow.
turns, will this thing activate?
Okay.
So, and of course, I've been studying it for the past half year, so
yeah, for
I'm
sure.
gonna say I'm intimately familiar with it by now.
Yeah, nice. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think I kind of like the idea of basically accumulating bonuses on your ciphers if you keep them around for a long time, especially if you have skills and that kind of thing. So what I'm going to say is basically it's good. So the range of it is going to be enough to. Let's see. Well, let's say that you can change the range up to enough to fill this whole temple, basically. Although that will presumably affect, you guys as well. And you can also, unless you want to roll for the effect, if you want, you can choose the effect.
Yeah, I think we should have this one, the 95 to 90.
What about ethics are inverted? I mean, then we'll really find out who we were dealing with.
Yeah, okay, so let's say it's either one or one of these two, the last ones.
All right. So,
So-
let's say maybe roll a d20, and if it's 10 or below, then the first one. Otherwise, the second one.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was good, then okay.
1. Okay. All right. So that's going to be the losing all inhibitions, revealing secrets, and performing surprising actions. That's going to turn out well. Okay. So yeah, let's go with the timer thing. So
How close is Nye?
Yeah, that I would want to. At this point, I feel like I should just go for him. Go for Russell. Try and
Beat him up.
yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Maybe get him sort of subdued, shall we say?
all right. Let's throw in as well, Mr. Rasmus. You can basically set a timer on this thing that. I guess it can be longer than 2 minutes if you want. So you can either set it off just straight away or in a set amount of time.
Yeah,
Let's
good
just
punching time.
let's just say 3 minutes, and I'll find a timer.
All right, cool. Okay, so you've got 3 minutes now to do whatever you want to do. So let's see, where exactly are you? So yeah, you're basically in this kind of control area. So it has, think of them as essentially consoles kind of surrounding the edge of it. But let's say the central area is basically clear. So there's, this is a fairly kind of flat and open kind of arena, as it were. In fact, let's go ahead and give me a few minutes. I'll just sketch up a quick map.
Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to pop my stim pill.
Oh, nice.
That decreases the difficulty of my next action by 3 steps. Maybe I shouldn't have told you that before you decide on the difficulty. It's like,
Oh, it's 10 difficulty. Actually, you know what? Let's take a 10-minute break now, a bit earlier, so that I can do this map justice, because I think there's some stuff that's going to be happening here.